Hi, this is Dan Bullard, retired electronics engineer on the front deck of my houseboat again. And we're getting there. We're past Christmas. I want to tell you about something really cool. I didn't realize how ahead of the curve I was. I told you how an impulse can't be used to test a filter, even though it has an absolutely flat response. The problem is that the impulse is very narrow, and if you try to make it wider, it slopes off in the frequency domain. And if you're trying to test a filter, that's the last thing you want. You want absolutely flat response all the way to the F max. The thing is that an impulse has to have all the harmonics, or it's not an impulse. And so if you start removing harmonics, like in this animation, basically I took an impulse that had 1024 harmonics, and then I reduced the number of harmonics and then put it back. So all the way from 1024 harmonics to just 10 harmonics. And if you see with 10 harmonics, there's no energy at all. But even with 1024 harmonics, there's still not much energy in there, because the peak to RMS ratio is what counts. Now, I've talked to you about peak versus RMS. What's the peak to RMS ratio of a sine wave? It's 1.414. So you can use 0.707 to convert the peak into RMS for a sine wave, and only a sine wave. And if you're an idiot like the Raytheon guys, or like most electrical engineers with a degree, you would believe that you could multiply 0.707 times the peak of anything, any wave, and that would give you the RMS. Absolutely not. You want the RMS, you got to calculate root mean square. But if you want a real RMS, and I've done it, I've calculated the RMS value. You capture all the wave components, and then you do the root mean squares, square root of the sum of squares. And it's really easy to do. If you do it in Excel, man, it looks really, it's huge. Each part of the equation gets gigantic, but eventually you can calculate it. So you cannot use an impulse to test a filter. And even the people it's really funny. I search for this stuff, and I find, caltech.edu or stanford.edu. I found this stanford.edu. They're talking why an impulse is not white noise. Well, of course an impulse is not white noise. The impulse has a flat response, but it's not noise. The peak is so narrow and so small, even if it's like gigantic, and you're limited. Let's remember, most devices don't take more than a couple volts, 3 volts, 4 volts, maybe 5 volts. But if you want an impulse to really test a filter, you're going to need to have an impulse of like a couple hundred volts. That ain't going to cut it. You're going to destroy something. Most capacitors won't take it. So this Stanford thing, they go on to this crazy thing with correlation and all this stuff. And I've never used the correlate function in Excel, but you can do it. It's in there if you apply the same stuff that you get to do the FFT. The correlation stuff is in there, so you can do it. And I'm not really an expert at that stuff, but what I believe in is the FFT. And correlation, not interested. Stanford, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. So that's Stanford, MIT, Caltech, Rutgers. You're all University of Manitoba at Winnipeg. Come on, you're all idiots. Anybody with a college degree, if you listen to those people, you're a fucking idiot. So don't believe these people. They're just not very smart. Okay, before it starts raining much, and it is raining a little bit, I'm going to get out of here. But I want to show you this. This is a place where we used to anchor this houseboat over at Caterpillar Island. And it's really a cool place. you can see our Chase lounges on the beach. We would have a bonfire, and then we would lay on the Chase lounges and look at the stars. Really cool. Great way to live. You know, beach living in town for sure. And here's where we live now from the air, from Google Maps, and it's really cool. You can see my solar panels and my satellite dish and my radar antenna. And we don't use the satellite dish anymore. We have DSL, so we get enough bandwidth for 2 TVs to run at the same time in full HD format, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, so this guy at Caltech, he's an idiot. Don't believe those people. They're all idiots. I had no idea I was so advanced. And when I do the TCF test, I'm basically sending a signal to the filter that is white noise with limited harmonics. And that's one of the cool things about periodic white noise. You can shape it because you can do the FFT on the white noise, and then you can multiply everything you don't want. If you're looking for a filter cutoff at a particular place, you can multiply everything in there by 0 except the band that you want. And then you can boost the amplitude of everything that you're looking for and that thing to the maximum voltage, 3 volts or 5 volts or whatever. So it's pretty cool. I had no idea I was so advanced. I really had no idea. And apparently these people are like, they're in the Stone Age, you know? And I do appreciate your comments. I got a really nice one the other day. Love it. You guys are great. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad I got supporters out there. Giovanni and Giuliani and all you guys are great. And the rest of you, well, try to learn what I'm telling you. Harmonics are not difficult to understand. I mean, a guy without a college degree did it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's one of the problems with people with college degrees. They're overly educated. They rely too much on math. They don't get their hands dirty on an Applicos or on a SCS 3000 or SCS 5000 or Vista or Credence Duo or the Schlumberger S9000 EXA. They don't get their hands dirty. They need to get their hands dirty. So before I get rained out, I'm going to go. So Happy New Year. Dan Bullard from the river. See ya.